Welcome to today's Explainer. If you're tuning in right now, chances are you're intimately and probably super frustratingly familiar with the glowing red numbers of your alarm clock reading exactly 3:44 a.m. You know the drill, right? You wake up with a jolt, your heart's racing, your brain is absolutely buzzing, and you're just stuck there staring at the ceiling, doing that miserable math of exactly how few hours of sleep you have left before the alarm goes off. We usually just brush this off, right? We blame it on a bad night's sleep or, a crazy week at work. But let's really dive into this today, because what if I told you that this sudden jarring awakening isn't actually a psychological stress response at all?
Seriously, just think about this for a second. What if this isn't some tricky sleep disorder? What if it's actually a tangible, physical medical mystery playing out right inside your abdomen? What if it's literally your gallbladder screaming for help? Today, we're completely reframing this whole frustrating experience. We are going to toss out those generic sleep supplements, throw away the outdated manuals, and solve this biological puzzle together using pure targeted biochemistry.
Section 1. The Midnight Alarm Clock. To figure this out, we have to start our investigation with the real culprit behind these disruptive midnight wake-ups. Most of us were totally taught that the gallbladder is just this simple, somewhat useless little storage pouch for bile, like an organ you don't even really need, right? Well, actually scratch that. The truth is this organ is your body's silent plumber. It is the master regulator of your fat-soluble vitamins and your energy processing. If you are consistently waking up on high alert in the middle of the night, reaching for sleep aids completely misses the point. It's like ignoring a blaring fire alarm to put in earplugs. There's a chemical switch locked in the on position inside your brain. And when we trace the biological pathways back from those late-night meals, we find the real triggers. We have to look at the true biological cause here.
Section 2. Inside the redemption phase. To fully grasp why your gallbladder is sounding this alarm, we need to pivot and look at the absolutely critical processes that are supposed to happen while you're fast asleep. We really need to stop looking at our organs as these isolated little islands and start seeing them as a highly coordinated team. Think of your liver as the body's massive manufacturing factory. It's in there doing all the heavy lifting, the processing, the filtering, the whole shebang. But your gallbladder, that is the warehouse manager. It regulates the flow, it stores the essential fluids, and it makes absolutely sure that the waste products are actually shipped out of the building. And guess what? If the warehouse manager goes on strike, that factory floor is going to become a disaster zone really, really fast.
And that brings us to what's happening at night during what we call the redemption phase. Specifically, in that 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. window, your body enters this highly specialized biological state. This is when your liver is supposed to dump all those built-up toxins, replenish your glycogen, and let the lymphatic system physically clean your brain. It's basically your internal factory reset. But, and this is a big but, it only works if the pathways are actually clear.
Section 3. The biliary sludge bottleneck. So, what happens when that vital internal plumbing gets backed up? This is the core biological agitation of our whole mystery. The absolute key here is understanding a lovely little term called biliary sludge. By definition, this is thick, sluggish bile that prevents waste export. So when your bile turns from a nice, free-flowing liquid into this weird, thick sludge, your liver literally cannot export its waste during that critical nighttime redemption phase we just talked about. I mean, imagine a major bustling city trying to flush its entire sewer system, but the main outward pipe is completely packed with thick mud. It creates massive systemic internal back pressure.
And here is the crazy domino effect of all that back pressure. When your body's waste system backs up, your brain doesn't just sit back and ignore it. No way. It perceives this internal bottleneck as a literal, life-threatening emergency. Because those toxins can't get out, the brain totally hits the panic button, triggering your adrenal glands to dump a massive surge of cortisol and adrenaline into your system. And what does a huge hit of adrenaline do? Boom, it snaps you wide awake at 4 a.m., your heart is pounding out of your chest, while the rest of the world is perfectly quiet. You aren't waking up because of a stressful email, you're waking up because your body legitimately thinks it is suffocating from the inside out.
Now, I want to make a really quick but absolutely crucial distinction here. A 3 a.m. wake-up call can sometimes be a little different. A 3 a.m. wake-up is often directly related to a liver glycogen drop, basically a blood sugar crash. For a lot of folks, fixing that 3 a.m. crash is as simple as having a tiny bit of raw honey and sea salt right before bed to keep the brain's energy stable. But that 4 a.m. alarm, that one is distinctly tied to this backed-up detox process, the lung energy transition, and that massive cortisol spike caused by the biliary sludge.
Section 4. Signs of hepatic stress. At this point, you're probably sitting there wondering, okay, how do I know if this biliary sludge thing is actually what's happening to me? Let's look at the physical evidence you can check for this internal bottleneck yourself. So here are the undeniable signs of a compromised gallbladder and hepatic stress. First up, the hard drum belly. Have you ever seen someone with really thin arms and legs, but their stomach feels like a highly pressurized tire? That's not just regular belly fat, it's fluid retention, because a stressed liver can't manufacture the proteins needed to hold fluid inside the blood vessels. Next is the malabsorption of vitamins A, D, E, and K. Listen, if you're taking expensive multivitamins without healthy bile flow, it is literally like mailing a letter without a stamp. The address might be right, but it is never getting delivered to your cells. This deficiency dries out your body's protective barriers, which is why you might get those dry, gritty-feeling eyes. And ultimately, it locks your entire nervous system into a perpetual state of high alert. Section 5. The Bile Flush Protocol. Okay, enough of the bad news. Let's see how all of this builds into an actual solution. We are stepping away from those gimmicky detox teas and moving toward a concrete, biochemistry-based protocol. It is time to fix the plumbing.
So it turns out we have a biochemical secret weapon, and it's called TUDCA. TUDCA is a naturally occurring bile acid. Think about trying to suck thick mud through a super narrow straw. It's nearly impossible, right? Now imagine pouring a special solvent in there that instantly turns that mud back into flowing water. That is exactly what TUDCA does. It thins the bile, transitioning it from biliary stasis, that nasty sludge, back into a fluid, which allows your liver to finally flush out the toxins that are triggering those crazy 4 a.m. cortisol spikes.
All right, so here is the exact step-by-step formula. Step 1, dietary elimination. You absolutely have to cut out high fructose corn syrup. That stuff goes straight to your liver, turns directly into fat, and essentially acts like a sludge-creating factory. Step 2, what we call the black nectar. Yep, your coffee habit is actually a good thing here. Research shows that 2 to 3 cups of black coffee daily dampens liver inflammation and acts as a biological shield. Step 3, we deploy our secret weapon, 2-DCA, to turn that sludge back into water. Step 4, nutritional support. Start eating large arugula salads. Why arugula? Because that natural bitterness powerfully stimulates bile release, plus the potassium keeps your arteries nice and flexible. And finally, the fasting window, you've got to stop all calories at least 3 hours before bed. This stabilizes your blood sugar and prevents the body from launching those cortisol-driven rescue missions in the middle of the night. When we bring this all together into a holistic approach, it's pretty amazing. By hydrating properly with some lemon, throwing in those bitter foods like arugula, eating your healthy fats at dinner, utilizing liver support like TUDCA, and really respecting that 3-hour fasting window, you are effectively oiling the rusty hinges of your entire internal system. You're opening up the pipes so your internal warehouse manager can actually do their job, which means you can finally slide into that deep, unbroken, restorative sleep you've been dreaming of.
You know, the wellness industry kind of wants you to stay on that late-night blood sugar roller coaster. Why? Because it keeps you dependent. It keeps you buying the next quick fix, the next sleep gummy, the next soothing nighttime tea. But the truth is, you can choose to take back your biology. You really don't have to just get through the day completely exhausted anymore.
If you are truly serious about applying this protocol, if you're really ready to reclaim your biological survival and just fix this internal plumbing once and for all, I want you to make a commitment right here, right now. It's time to hit reset and finally silence that midnight alarm. So the big question is, are you ready to finally flush the system and unlock the deep, restorative sleep your brain is literally starving for? Your body has been sending you a desperate message every single night at 4 a.m., and now you have the biological decoder ring to actually answer it. It makes you wonder, what other signals is your biology sending that you might have been ignoring? Thank you so much for diving into this explainer with me today. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.